So for more on this, let's bring now in Ambassador James Woolsey, former director of the CIA and chairman of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Good to be with you.
Okay, so this Iran deal obviously is a sore spot between the United States and Iran, and it has never really quite been a successful one. But so far, many believe it is working, but it could be better. The United States is taking a very strong stance on this, despite U.S. allies backing it. What happens if the United States doesn't get the support of our allies?
I don't think the support of the Allies is the main thing. The main thing is that they went off the beam, I think, when they did this agreement.
Be specific, by they. Who went off the beam?
The Obama White House.
Yep.
And some members of the Foreign Relations Committee. They knew they could not get this approved as a treaty, even though its seriousness and its overall nature is exactly designed to be a treaty, not just an executive agreement.
Right.
They knew they could not get it approved, and so they fiddled around with the cloture rule, with filibuster rule, and came out with a way in which they could get by the Senate with only 1/3 of the Senate instead of 2/3 of the Senate. And saying, well, you know, hey, 1/3's close enough for government work, right? No. There is a very fundamental problem with this agreement. And I think that another problem with it is that as you move forward and are able actually to implement it, which it's not clear that's occurring legally yet, as you move forward, let's suppose you and I are UN inspectors, and we hear about some radioactive soil up 100 miles north of Tehran. So we go to the Iranians and say we want to go inspect this, and they say fine. And then after about an hour, we're underway, and they stop our car, and they say, I'm sorry, you can't go there. That's a military facility. And we say, what do you mean? They say, well, you know, we made it a military facility 5 minutes ago, so now you can't inspect it. That's the nature of this so-called agreement. It really is a fraud.
Well, and you can't trust it. And you cannot trust the Iranian leaders, much like North Korea. And a lot of the focus lately has been on North Korea because of Kim Jong-un and his ramping up his nuclear weapons program there. But we talk a lot about ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles. Regardless of this deal, if they have their hands on one, they can't be trusted with one. And not only is Israel in a direct shot, Israel has been repeatedly threatened by Iran and Iranian deals and Iranian leaders. Why don't the UK and Germany and France, why can't they see the dire threat and need to shut this down? Do they want to see Israel blown off the map? Because I'm sure Iran, if it came down to it, wouldn't feel so sorry for them if they had to use their missile.
They don't really want to see anybody blown off the map, but they are seized by the overall spirit of appeasement that seized Britain and other countries in Europe in the late 1930s. They want to just kick the can down the road and hope they can pass the problem on to a later generation and not have to deal with it themselves. There's no real other possible explanation.
Right, passing it down to a later generation doesn't necessarily work. I mean, especially when you're considering that this deadly weapon of mass proportions could be in the hands of evil, and you won't have a next generation if they actually were to use it.
We're in this mess today because previous generations of leaders kicked the can down the road and did not solve the problem. We've got to do something about this more than just wring our hands.
All right, Ambassador James Woolsey, thank you very much.
Great to be with you.